Hey everyone, happy Friday. This is a unscheduled live stream, but I wanted to make this to get my views out regarding the Oakland bulk and oversized terminal issue in the wake of the lawsuit that California Commercial Group and Filtergami won over the City of Oakland for breach of contract. I wrote down my thoughts in this piece that is also in the description of this live stream right now. So here it goes. While I support the view that our own activities have and are contributing to climate change, to think that shutting down construction of the Oakland bulk and oversized terminal will be the key action in turning the tide is purely silly. First, coal is and has never been the only commodity the facility, the bulk terminal, is to handle. Second, if one sits down and runs the numbers, they will find that a flow of coal-only shipments would not be enough to pay the annual operating cost of the facility. Third, the City of Oakland knew, and from the start, that coal and iron ore and grain would be some of the many shipments the terminal will handle, and signed contracts to allow it to do so. Those that rail against the development agreement failed to note that the disposition, and development agreement and supporting documents, some written by Betsy Lake, a lawyer who was consultant to the City of Oakland and is now city administrator, all use the word coal or iron ore or commodities or some mix of all three and more. Now, because of an effort led by Tom Steyer, who has invested $140 million to fight any threat to the climate that he perceives is just that, all of a sudden, Oakland acts like it was lied to. Not so. Oakland politicians are just bowing to what could be called a climate industrial complex, which has managed to help form a political climate that, among other things, got us Donald Trump as president of the United States. Also lost in all of this is the need to make low-skilled, high-paying jobs for blacks and people of color in Oakland. People will say, we don't want African Americans to be subject to bad air in West Oakland. But none of them, same people, will say we want blacks in Oakland to have well-paying jobs. They have zero problem with writing a check to a white college student who has an idea for a tech startup, will come up with any reason not to give money to a homeless black man with a college degree who has an idea for a tech startup. When someone like Oakland District 6 Councilmember Desley Brooks says it, Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf and District 4 Councilmember Annie Campbell Washington step forward to call her names like Donald Trump of Oakland. Meanwhile, no one has addressed the problem of black unemployment on the city council other than Desley Brooks. The sad fact is that many of the homeless in Oakland are black and are working. The simple problem is we don't have well-paying jobs for them because Oakland has chased those jobs away over time. Oakland elected officials at the city council level have preached a message of biotech, and tech for 25 years and never once considered how Oakland's people of color would be impacted. I know because I was there. I tried to save Oakland's apparel industry with what would have been an incubator in 1988, only to be shut down because the Oakland Office of Economic Development thought I went beyond my role as an intern. In 1996, I created a way to do redevelopment that would have netted Oakland $4 billion in additional revenue, a legal loophole according to our bond counsel. The city council, unbelievably, went with the city attorney's lie that because it was untested in court, we shouldn't do the idea. I have seen Oakland again and again wiggle out of ways to help its less than wealthy become greater than. Fixing the problem of black unemployment and underemployment is the holy grail problem that only Desley Brooks has shown any desire to fix among those on the city council. Mayor Schaaf could do it. But in this post, I'm calling on my longtime friend to step up to the plate and get to work. The City of Oakland should not file an appeal to the lawsuit that they lost, and for a simple reason. The courts of appeal tend to favor development agreements. People who have said the city appeal, or should appeal rather, don't act like they actually read the 37-page decision. They just skimmed over it. The case was for a breach of contract. The agenda of the Bay Area Climate Industrial Complex is not really clean energy, and it's certainly not clean jobs. It's clearing land for market rate housing. Ask yourself this: what would happen if the Oakland Bulk and Oversized Terminal wasn't built? Aside from the government lawsuits that would certainly come because of breach of contract, the idea for the initial grants was to build the new use at the Army base and to replace the jobs that were lost due to the close of that facility. Low-skilled, high-wage employment. The land sale would almost certainly go to a land developer who would then build market-rate housing. That would certainly continue the chasing away of low-income Oaklanders, many black, and either out of Oakland or to the streets as the new homeless. We need a new solution. The answer is tech. There is a tech-based solution that can be applied to the Oakland Bulk and Oversized Terminal matter. We're in the middle of the tech capital of the world. We can solve the problem. We just have to want to. Stay tuned. Hey, Barry Lee, everyone. I just wanted to get that out. Like I said, this was unscheduled, okay? And, but I had to make it because there were so many cries and calls. Not so many, but a few that I felt needed a corrective, a different point of view. And this is it. I am not a climate denier by any means. That's not the point. But we're at a juncture where there are people who are promoting climate change, but they're thinking nothing about the plight of the people who are working right now in some industries that need to be cleaned up, but in a different way. Those on the extreme end, those who are part of the climate industrial complex, would seek to do away with those jobs rather than ask the simple question: can we establish a tech solution? Not only that, we've completely forgotten how to retrain in our society. When I started with the Oakland Office of Economic Development and Employment in the Oakland Redevelopment Agency as an intern, then later a consultant, and when I was later rehired as economic advisor to Oakland Mayor Elihu Harris, I was consistently in the middle of, in some kind of way, monitoring or assisting the operation of what I then called our job training industrial complex. We had, at one point, over 100 organizations that in some way, shape, or form were involved in the retraining or training of potential employees for a wide number of jobs, but all of them, or I should say arguably most of them, what we now call low skill, high paying. We've forgotten how to do economic development. We've forgotten how to do job training. We've forgotten how to help people. There's something seriously wrong with our society today, but we have to take the necessary steps to right that wrong or set of wrongs and get us right back on the right track. Tech is but one solution, but what we've got to do is have a meeting of the minds between those on the extreme end who would seek to get rid of jobs and those on the other end who are doing the current jobs, so that the people here don't lose their homes, lose their monies, and in that state become what Barry Bluestone and Bennett Harrison identified in their fantastic 1979 book, The Deindustrialization of America. In that book, the two authors noted, from MIT professors, one MIT professor, the other a labor economist, if memory serves, that problems in obtaining jobs or being in the situation of underemployment were directly related to higher incidence of reports of domestic violence in the home. I dare you to find anyone who would dispute that today, so many years later. We have to get back to the grassroots of fixing our economy and building a true full employment economy for everyone. We don't have that. You would say the unemployment rate is 3.9%. I retort that the underemployment rate is about 20. What does that mean? It means you have about 20% of the population that isn't making enough money to comfortably keep a roof over its head. And I say comfortably by that I mean working an 8-hour job. It's not a great situation. Not a great situation at all. And before I leave, I'll take your comments. Excuse me. I'm just making a couple of corrections here before I do. And let's see here. I'll make those corrections later. I'll go to your comments right now. And there we go. Going back here, going to view on watch page. I already saved those changes, I believe. And it looks like changes are saved. All right, now view on watch page. And I can see your opening up. Hey everybody, hey Barry Lee. Barry Lee says, hello, finally got a notification. Woo, how about that, huh? Barry Lee says they need to focus on the homeless, the out of control rent, and the raiders. Talking about the city of Oakland, it's Barry Lee. Barry Lee also says, add employment to the list. Emil Scott says, notification received. Hey. Barry Lee says, Oakland is at the point where you either set sail or jump ship. I agree, that's a great point, Barry Lee. Then he says, yeah, I just took a look at Santa Fe, Texas, Santa Fe High School. You know, let's a moment of prayer for those who have not just lost their lives, but also impacted, which is the entire country because of the media, by what happened in Texas at Santa Fe High School today. All right. So that's what I posted. I've got to go now because I'm going to run some errands. It's 8:16 tonight. Thank you, Barry Lee. Saturday, I'm contemplating doing another live stream. Donis, you just arrived. Said, do I believe in climate change? Can you explain that? I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ. I don't think climate change is something to believe in. My opinion for a long, long time has been that you can't say that we produce automobiles that emit stuff in the air, right? Or you can't say that we have constructed plants and equipment, or even breathe the air and then we push out carbons without, or you just walk the earth without saying, hey, you know what? We don't have an impact on the climate. Of course we do. Of course we do. That goes without saying. And for anybody who is interested in the subject, what I point to is this, that it's not just the climate, that's only one part of the equation. It's our population growth and use of resources that's really a question. We've taken our eye off the ball there because the climate change lobby made the entire argument simple for anybody who doesn't really want to think to grasp. Okay? And I don't mean to be insulting, but if it comes off that way, so be it, because it's true. You can't have somebody eat up an argument if they don't understand it. But what I point to is a book that turned me on to a modeling paradigm called system dynamics far back in 1971. It was called The Limits to Growth. And it was written by the Club of Rome, the Club of Rome, and the researchers that were hired from them by way of a grant by the Volkswagen Foundation. The centerpiece of the Limits to Growth model, or Limits to Growth book, was a, Donis, I want you to listen, okay? Because Donis he's typing these, and you can see this it's over here, but I want you to listen, okay? Because he's typing these responses, but I don't think he's actually listening, okay? My point is that how does it work? Is it this way? Yeah, it's this way. Donis, I see your comments. Listen, man. Listen up, all right? Please. So my point is that the Limits to Growth model said that by the year 2000, we would reach zero population growth. I haven't checked to see if we're there, but the point of what Dennis Meadows and Donella Meadows and the research team out of Dartmouth did, and MIT did, was to, by the use of the world model, was called World 3, try to understand how all of this, at the time, rampant industrialization was impacting us. And then they wrote another book in 1993 called Beyond the Limits to Growth, where we hadn't reached that point yet of zero population growth, but a lot of the predictions they made then, which also became this term zero population growth at the time as a popularized term, a lot of the predictions they made then, in some cases, have become true by 1993. I don't know that anyone has followed up in 2018, and that may be something that I should focus on, to update their work yet again. I think it's a good idea to do so. We need that focus, okay? My point is that we are at a juncture that, among other things, threatens to tear apart the Democratic Party. Because you have the old-time Democrats like Steve Sisolak in Nevada, or others throughout the country who are supporters of using public money for sports, for example, for jobs. All they want to do are create jobs for people. Jobs that are not in abundance in their, as they perceive it, in their regions, right? That's all they want to do. Now, I think that's a worthy objective. I really do. I think it's a very worthy objective. But what's happened is that their approach and arguments always are muddled. In Sisolak's case, it has to do with the fact that, it's the way that the whole Raiders situation came about, which, as you know, produces, among other things, the potential for a lawsuit. In the case of the Oakland Bulk Terminal, the City of Oakland planned for the construction of the kind of jobs that the Oakland Bulk and Oversized Terminal promises 24 years ago. Okay, we always intended to replace them. But what's happened is that the climate change lobby has ignored it. All right? And they say, we're concerned about blacks having clean air. Yeah, but are you concerned about, African Americans having jobs that produce money for them to live beyond just, mere subsistence level? My answer, based on what I've seen, is give a crap at all. Okay? They could just not care. And then let's put a finer point on it. Forget color. What about just those people, regardless of color, who need that work? And think about what not having money does to those folks. They're more likely to assume that, someone not like them gets the things that they need. And that doesn't help anybody, okay? So we've got to stop, and I mean in its tracks, this headlong rush to have disagreements that are on balance fixable. But also, we have to remember that we can establish a tech solution. We can establish the tech solution. Donis asks, who are the climate change lobby? Wow, you've got Bill McKibben of 350 out there. You've got Tom Steyer, the billionaire, who's, you may have heard as the person who's also trying to get Donald Trump impeached. You've got a number of people that kind of move down in a pyramid-like fashion under them because of the amount of money that they have been able to command versus other people. All right, and it's the sad part about it is within this climate change lobby was one man who had the right answer, I felt, and that was Van Jones in 2007. I interviewed him. You can see the interview that I did with Van right here at Zenny 62. And I believe I shared the link for it the other day. I may have, I may not have. But at any rate, the fact is that Van had as his approach developing by economic development jobs that are called green jobs. And he estimated how those green jobs could really assist in establishing a new economy. I thought it was very exciting, okay? And so there it is. There's another person I haven't recognized before who, his name is Ben, who has some interesting posts here. But I hope I answered your question, Donis. Donis says, do you know who are the Coach brothers? I know who they are, yes. Ben says, capitalism is unsustainable and creates artificial scarcity while wealth is concentrated in the upper class. Okay, Ben, we know that. He says, infinite growth is impossible with finite resources. We know that. Ben says, a capitalist society can't survive climate change, the mass exploitation of resources and humanities for profit funneled to the 1%. Socialism is the only way to survive the future. I actually would offer this, Ben. We already have socialism. The trouble is we don't embrace it at all. And when we have the conversation about socialism, my question is always to the people who raise that, and I don't know who you really are, is what kind of socialism do you want? Do you want the mixed economy socialism that we have? Because if you do, and I hope you would say yes, then I think in the next breath you should agree that all we need is a little bit of tweak of where our resources and assistance go. We don't need a wholesale change because a lot of our society is socialist already. That's the dirty little secret, Ben. No pun intended. Dirty, cool, right? Ha ha ha. Kind of making a joke, all right? That's the dirty little secret, all right? We want to avoid that. I can see I can go on and on and on. I'd love to have a discussion about this again. And maybe you can send me an email, Ben, if you're so inclined, to zenny@zenny62.com. I got to go, folks. I'll see you. All right? All right? See you soon. Thanks.